There's no contradiction, there's no clash. Allah forgives. Inna Allah, yani Allah is Ghafur Rahim. No doubt about that. But you wrong someone intentionally, you have to seek the pardon of that person. The person forgives you, or they take your good deeds, they give you their bad deeds, etc. Everyone understand this? So the hadith about the man who killed 100 men is several different interpretations. Number one, someone could possibly say that wasn't something, this is specific to our ummah. And perhaps in the previous ummahs, they were forgiven even of the dhulm that they did to other servants. Or Allah Azza wa Jal totally wiped away and obliterated all of his sins because of his sincerity. And that he was a bloodthirsty person, and he had good in his heart, and he walked towards the good. And Allah took care of that for him. And that's a general text, and an explicit text. And the specific and explicit text explain that la bud, it has to be me and you. Do you forgive me? I killed you. I took your life, so on and so forth. Clear on that? So these are two ways of proving that there's no contradiction between these two concepts or realities. Clear? That's in brief. You clear on that?
So, one is that
A person could say that was something that was different for his time in his ummah. A different point of sharia. And another time is that Allah Azza wa Jal wiped it away. And he has the ability to do that. You understand? But that's not how he has mandated things. He has mandated things. Only, you got to look at the purpose of people taking it lightly. Allah can forgive anything. You took somebody's money, you wronged them. Allah could put the forgiveness in that person's heart on the day of judgment. But Allah is teaching us not to take it lightly, to oppress you and then say, well, Allah will forgive me. And that's what people do today. That's exactly what Muslims, they do today. You have a Muslim landlord, you're renting from him. He's a slumlord, we say, in the East Coast. He's not a good landlord. So, oh, brother, Allah is all forgiving. And there's water dripping on my head. And you're paying full price for rent. Oh, don't worry, brother, we're brothers, we're Muslims. There's no racism in Islam. After I've treated you like a racist. People, they find convenience in Islam and in the forgiveness of Allah and their oppression. So the Prophet, he didn't want us to fall into this. You must pay back the blood, the money, the property that you took from this human being. And if you know that Allah, with his infinite mercy, you gotta stand with this person that's supposed to scare you and keep you away from committing murder, manslaughter, taking his money and property. Everyone understand this? Allahu Alam. That's in brief. Fadl akhi.
Yeah, I think you said in the past that Allah described himself with true.
Is it actually true?
Yeah, Allah described himself.
Clear. Well, I would seek refuge in Allah to sit in front of you and tell you something that isn't true. Not out of mistake or slip of the tongue, but for me to actually confidently say something Allah has said it. I seek refuge in Allah to be that dishonorable and shameful, to lie about Allah in front of you. That's first and foremost. Secondly is, we mentioned the verses in the Quran. Allah says, وَفَتَنَّاكَ فُتُونًا. You understand that? Allah says, وَفَتَنَّاكَ فُتُونًا. Talking about who? And from what surah? He's talking to who? Musa alayhi salam. In what surah? Taha. Allah says that we did what? We put you through a what? That's shak. Allah tested Musa, Fir'aun, his mother, the Nile River. وَفَتَنَّاكَ فُتُونًا. We saved you, we delivered you. And there are other verses as well. Allah, he speaks of these things. And we explained the qaida. That when Allah describes himself of something, it has an exclusive meaning. And when a human being is described with something, it has a meaning that's suitable with the human.
Yeah, so isn't there a difference between what Allah does and what Allah describes himself with?
From what aspect?
Because Imam Nawawi once was explaining the ayah. I was talking about giving tafsir of the ayah, Nabi Ibadi, Anni Ana al-Ghafur Rahim, wa Anna Adabi, Huwa al-Adab al-Alim. And when you go to wa Anna Adabi, Huwa al-Adab al-Alim, he started weeping. And they asked him why he was weeping. And he was talking about the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That when he was talking about Al-Ghafur and Rahim, Allah related that to himself. Described himself with Al-Ghafur. He said, Anni Ana al-Ghafur Rahim.
Tayyib.
But when you go to Adaba, punishment, he didn't say Ana al-Mu'adhib.
Tayyib.
So وَأَنَّ عَذَابِي هُوَ الْعَذَابُ الْأَلِيمُ. And جَعَلَ الْعَذَابَ مَمْلُوكًا لَهُ. made punishment as something that he owes.
Right.
That if he likes, he gives. If he likes, he forgives.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, in terms of fitna, the fact that Allah can put fitna on somebody doesn't necessarily mean that Allah is mufti. It's,
Right.
it's a person,
Clear.
It's a being that is himself describing
Clear.
himself.
Clear. Jazakallah khairan.
Maybe it is something
Clear.
we can-
We never said that Allah is al-fatin. لم نقل هذا. لا يعني we never said that Allah's name or his sifa is al-fatin. Evident. We never said that. But we said, according to what Hafidh ibn Hajar said, rahimahullah, if you listen carefully, that هو من الأفعال الصادرة من الله ومن العبد أو من الإنسان. It's an act that is attributed to Allah and also attributed to the human. Everybody understand this? It never said it's a name of Allah.
You know what? Excuse me.
So let me finish, please. Can I finish?
Just one statement.
Can I finish?
Just one statement.
طيب.
I'm not trying.
Can I finish?
Yeah, you see, I because it's being recorded.
Jazakallah khairan.
Maybe if you look at it and then maybe you say it in the better form or whatever because it is recorded.
No.
So that's why I just chip it.
Yeah. Can I want to finish though. I want to explain something to you. If you let me finish, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you for your politeness. The ulama of Islam, they say that we have several different levels when we talk about Allah. First and foremost is Babul Asma. And then we have Babul Sifat. And then we have Babul Af'al. And then we have Babul Ikhbar. And every time we go to a different level, it becomes wider and wider. So we're talking about Babul Asma, the names that Allah, we believe that Allah has, is the smallest or the least amount of room. And there are more rules in affirming and attributing a name to Allah Azza wa Jal. And there are rules for us to say this is the ism of Allah, Al-Aziz. And then we have Babul Sifat, in which Allah gives himself an attribute. Iblis says, فَبِعِزَّتِكَ, your izzah, your might and power, لَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ, I will mislead all of them. So Allah, he has the name Al-Aziz, and he has the name, or he has the attribute of izzah. Number 3, Babul Af'al, an action of Allah. Tu'izzu man tasha. You give izzah to whomever you will. It's wider. And then we have Babul Ikhbar, in which we talk about Allah and we generally describe Allah. So if I was giving a khutbah and I say to myself, what will you do on the day of judgment? When Allah takes you and he brings you in front of his people and says, what have you done with this child? And how did you raise this child? Does the hadith say that specifically? Is it Allah's name, the one who asks who will do? As-Sa'il? Is that the sifa of Allah? Is that but it's ikhbar. You're talking about something that is generally proven in the Quran and the Sunnah. So there are principles and rules and talk about the names and attributes of Allah. And those principles are not based off of Imam Nawawi or Ibn Hajar or this one or that one. It's based off Kitab and Sunnah. So if Allah Azza wa Jal mentions something about himself, then that's what it is. Everyone understand this? Let alone the fact that the Quran is uslub, Arabi. Nabbi ibadi ana al-ghafur rahim. There's so many different ayats in which Allah describes something directly or indirectly. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam says, وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينَ. And when I become sick, Allah cures me. And Ibrahim did not say, when Allah makes me, يُمْرِضُنِي وَيَشْفِينَ. But he mentioned he feeds me, he gives me drink. وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ, when I become sick, فَهُوَ يَشْفِينَ. So the khair is directly attributed to Allah. And that which isn't so khair isn't necessarily directly attributed. But who's the one who made Ibrahim sick? Of course. But Allah didn't attribute that to himself. But Allah is the one in actuality who made what? Sick. Everyone understand this? So it's not just one ayah or nawi, but you have to understand the balagha of the Quran is of different types and of different styles. And there are other ayats in which Allah Azza wa Jalla specifically mentions, in arada bikum, if Allah wants what with you? So it's not just one ayah you take and you say that's the rule. Everyone understand this? Jazakallahu khairan. So you have to, first and foremost, empty your cup. Empty your cup. There's nothing wrong with asking a question or finding some problem, but you have to empty your cup and you got to know what you're talking about thoroughly. And it's not just one ayah and no, it's deeper than that, huh? Inshallah. Jazakallahu khairan.
All right, thank you for your questions, everyone. May Allah reward Mufti Munir. May Allah reward you for coming and benefiting. So I apologize for the crunch on time. Tomorrow, Friday, we'll have for the GPM, Mufti Munir is going to be doing another talk on Islamic morality and whether it needs to